Welcome, everybody, to this episode of the Change Agent Podcast. I'm your host, Tim McBride, partner of Wexler Realty Group here in Scottsdale. On this podcast, I like to invite local leaders, influencers, and agents of change to join me in conversation and share their stories and hopefully speak to inspire others. I oftentimes really don't go deep into my industry and my trade of being a residential real estate agent, but on this episode, I felt like I needed to pivot, and I wanted to invite a very special guest on, not just a friend of mine, but someone who's a true leader in our industry, specifically the financing world. Kelly Zitlow. Kelly, it's been a pleasure being able to watch you. In my 3 years in this industry, I knew right away I needed to identify myself with true professionals, people that separate themselves from the masses, and you are definitely one of those. And over the last year or so, I've got to know you through a lot of different channels, whether it be sending my clients to you or through the American Dream TV. But in just these last 3 months, as our worlds have changed and flipped upside down, you made a comment a while back where people either kind of pull back or they lean in, and you're definitely one that has leaned in. So before we start telling a little bit of your story, I just want to allow you the opportunity to introduce yourself, and thank you for joining me on today's episode.
Well, thank you so much, Tim, for having me. This is very exciting. My name is Kelly Zitlow. I am here in Scottsdale, Arizona. I'm an almost native, if that's a thing. So I've been here for a long time. My parents moved here when I was 3. So I grew up in Arizona, went to Arizona State, and started actually in the mortgage business in 1996. And so 24 years now, it's been quite a ride, and ups and downs and all arounds, and such an exciting industry. And I love it. I absolutely love what we do. And, to be able to break down barriers and help educate people, no matter where they are in the home loan process, is still very exciting, even after all these years. So again, thanks so much for having me.
It's a pleasure. And, this business, I was told early on, it's either a transactional industry or it's a very relational industry. And I really lean into the relational side. And like you, there's a lot of realtors and a lot of lending professionals and mortgage professionals, but there are very few that really stand out. And there's a lot of ways you can do that. That's a special thing about this business, is you can kind of create your own path. But in the year that I've been able to get to know you and work with you, a core component that I've really identified with is education. I've just really admired your ability to put yourself out there and be a voice of knowledge and understanding for a very potentially complicated space for a lot of people. I myself am not a financial guy. It's not an area I specialize in or have expertise in. So I need to know that I can have someone like yourself that I can go, here's an expert that can walk you through the entire process. I want to help my clients know their home buying goals, but it's you that really gets to help them understand what they can and can't do. So with that, since COVID hit, you've really gone into this place of creating a lot of great content and giving a lot of information to help people understand their environments. What has it been like for you from just a personal standpoint and a professional standpoint, and managing those two worlds?
Well, fortunately, I'd already had a lot of experience generating content and using video to distribute that content to our community. So I had been doing that, but certainly COVID brought an opportunity to kind of lean into that. I think one of two things happens when stuff happens in life or in our country. And a person's either going to kind of lean into it and let's get it going, or, they're going to kind of retract. And my nature and how I am is, there's a lot of people out there that are really confused about all of the stuff that's coming through the CARES Act or forbearance, and does it impact you or not, and all that stuff. So I just really leaned into it and just started generating as much content as I could to really just help educate the community together with the country on what does it mean, right? What does this mean? We hear this little thing on the news, or we read it on Twitter or whatever, but it needs more explanation. And so getting that right guidance is truly, I think what it's all about, and realizing that everybody's scenario is different. So, if you're getting ready to purchase a house and you have a house to sell and you go into forbearance, hey, guess what? That could be problematic, right? So I felt just this really sense of responsibility to just start telling people, because the news and the government and everybody else is like, hey, you don't have to pay your house payment. Well, let's just slow the roll, because it could have some impact on your future. Let's talk about it. So that's really where it all stemmed from over the last 3 months.
And what are some of the better, I know we'll talk about later, but YouTube's really been a platform for you to put a lot of that content out, correct?
Yeah, so we post all of it on YouTube. That's kind of like our hub. That's our library. And then from there, we'll distribute from YouTube. So yes. And, it's one of those things too, Tim, that whether, somebody chooses to work with me and my team or not, I still believe it's the right thing to do to educate and break down barriers with this process, because it is confusing, especially if you're a first-time home buyer and you're Googling, oh heavens, right? I mean, just the stuff that, how do you know it's the right information? And so I always just direct people to my YouTube channel, and there's a lot of great information on there, again, that will just guide people through and at least get them to think about the right questions to ask. And if they do that and they choose to work with us, awesome. But if not, that's okay too. Like, we just got to get the information out there.
Yeah, I love that. And people need information. We're desperate for it, right? Whether it's in our industry or not, information is gold right now. So your experience speaks for itself. What inspired you to get into this industry? I know I've asked you in the past, but you've experienced a lot of ups and downs. You've rode the roller coaster the entire time, and you're still smiling, you're still enjoying it, and you're still thriving. So, like, what was that calling that got you into it? And what are some of the lessons you've learned along the way that someone that is listening, either looking for information or may want to pursue that field, what someone might want to hear?
Well, I fell into the industry, to tell you the truth. So I was getting ready to go to law school. I had graduated from college, and I had a gap between when I graduated and when I was going to go to law school. And so I actually just started in the mortgage business in 1996, and it was like just an instant. I loved it, and I was good at it because I have that ability to really listen and structure and put financing strategies together for people. It was innate in me. I have the ability to review guidelines, and I'm a good technician, but I also just love people. And so that empathy and that compassionate side of me, it was like a perfect industry for me. And I didn't even know it existed. I literally just fell into it. So I didn't end up going to law school. That was the best decision I ever made. And, 24 years later, I've been just lucky enough to be able to help thousands of people. And every day is a new day. I often say that when I'm talking to somebody, what we talk about is their footprint. So if I talk to 20 people every day, it's 20 different footprints, right? It's 20 different stories, 20 different strategies and scenarios. So it keeps it fresh and exciting, and, it works.
You definitely get access to the vulnerable side of human beings in this industry. And that's something in the first 3 years I quickly took to appreciate. You're not just helping someone with a transaction, you're helping someone with a very important and personal life decision. And that can be, like you said, a first-time home buyer or an investment type of purchase. People, there's an intent there, and that can be very emotional. It can be, from a financial perspective, but they have to be open, they have to be honest and vulnerable. And that's fun because you get to see real people in these elements, and you get to do it every day. So I like that footprint comment. I'm going to kind of make note of that one for myself. But so as you've kind of gone through, the successes are there, but in that time frame, you had to ride the roller coaster of what I'll call the depression of 2008. I wasn't in the industry. I wasn't even here in Phoenix. So what was that time like? And then after that, like, how are you relating those days to what we're kind of having to navigate today?
Yeah. So great question. Arizona, as many of you might know, we were number 2 or 3 in the country. We went back and forth in our positioning of the number 1 market for short sales and foreclosures. So that all started to hit in about 2007, 2008. And it continued for many years. So my world was rocked. People that were around me, real estate agents and my clients, I mean, our entire community was rocked by what was taking place. And so, again, much like today and other things that have happened over the years, I had a choice. I had a choice to go do something else. I had a choice to dig in and reinvent myself and figure out, okay, what do people need from me today? And that's exactly what I did. So prior to 2008, I actually wasn't teaching any CE classes for the real estate community. I did very little lunch and learns for home buyers and things like that. It just wasn't part of my practice. And in 2008, something shifted. So I hired my first assistant when everybody else was letting go of their assistants, and she's still with me today. And I realized quickly that, I need to have somebody here that can take care of some of the processes so I can do what I do really well, which is educating and empowering people and really just keeping this community going with what could be done. Everybody at that point in time was talking about everything that couldn't be done, right? You couldn't buy a house. If you did this, you couldn't get financing. You couldn't do this, you couldn't do that. But there was still stuff that could be done. So I just focused on that. And then I started to teach CE, and that was kind of a big change in my career. And then it kind of took me through to where I am today. So when the pandemic hit, as hard as it was, certainly just for us personally, but from a business standpoint, the financial markets were once again rocked. 9/11, that was another time where, our financial markets are rocked, our country's rocked, our head and our hearts are hurting. But really my response to that is just, okay, what does the community need? What does the country need? How can I help? And that's what I do.
And kind of one day at a time, right? That's what I'm noticing this is anytime I try to forecast or plan ahead, I know it's going to be disrupted or blown up on some level. So it's just kind of living in that moment right now and understanding what today is. I don't even know where my kids are going to school next month.
Right.
Because the messaging we're getting there is so just diluted because no one really has an understanding. But I love you some terms there. The three that I caught were reinvest. I think that's something that we all have to be doing right now. I'm going to play kind of the naive card. I haven't been in this business for long enough to have really established, key business practices that I'm just going to trust will continue to be there when this all maybe comes out. Everything we're doing now, I think, is going to be the new normal. And if you're not going to invest in yourself, reinvesting in ourselves, our practices, our talents, our gifts, whatever we want to call them, then we're going to quickly be left behind. And then I think you love that, as you mentioned, educate and empower. And I think right now, that tool to be able to educate and empower people, whether it's through just answering questions they have, is so important. And it could have nothing to do with them either buying a home or refinancing or being a new home buyer or whatever it may be. Just being there to be a resource and be a voice that they can have a conversation with. So as we go there, what are some things that you're seeing in your industry or maybe that you're seeing on the real estate side as an agent that people are doing in a positive way that are helping reinvest in the business or reinvest in themselves that people could take some lessons away from?
Well, I think a few things. One, business coaching is very important because it helps to just instill that you're doing the steps and the disciplines that you need to do at any point in time, no matter what's going on. And so, catering to our clients and catering to our real estate agents and what's the biggest gap right now in our real estate community. We have limited inventory. There's multiple offers out there. Interest rates are as low as they've ever been, right? I mean, in history right now. So so we have like the perfect storm. So really it's just finding the challenge in that type of environment and then solving for it. And so that's what I talk a lot about. I think the discipline, the daily discipline, the time management, making sure that we're doing all that we can do to just take care of people, and then it all works out from there, but the discipline's a big part of that. And business coaching has helped me tremendously to just be very structured with my day and how I approach it every day and my steps every single day. It's kind of boring, but it's the magic sauce. Otherwise a lot of people are like, well, I can be like that too. So yeah. So systems, time management, coaching has really helped me just to kind of take it and go, okay, what are we doing today, this week, this month, this year?
Awesome. So you've grown yourself a pretty amazing team. And that's, personally, I've been able to send a lot of clients your way and I've just been amazed by the customer service. What about having a team help separate you? So anyone, again, listening, I'm going to have questions or is looking to be in the position to need a lending professional. What helps in knowing you have a team and expertise through every step that they could want to learn about?
Yeah. Well, the reason I have evolved the team and added to it over the years is it just gives me more bandwidth to do the things that I'm really good at in the process. And then I leave the rest of the process because the home buying lending process can be complicated. It can have a lot of steps to it. And if you're working with a loan officer that they don't have that backup support, then you're expecting that person to be all things to all people in all situations. And let's just face it, that's probably not realistic, right?
Yeah.
So you're really good at certain things, but you're probably not good at everything. And that's no different than me. So I've hired a team of experts that hone in on their part of the process. So again, we can not only close on time and close smooth, but we really have the time and the bandwidth to be able to do gut checks. How are we serving you? How are you feeling? That's a very important part of our process. And I train on it, we develop on it. We're hiring people that have great attitudes, that have a serving heart, that get it. This isn't just push a button and get a loan. There's a lot of stuff that goes into it. So I couldn't bring all of that to the community without a great group of people around me.
And they are a great group of people, and it's awesome to know that you surround yourself with that type of talent and hearts that are there to serve, as you just referenced. Is that what this industry is across the board? We're serving the needs of our clients through every step. And on your end, you're the magic sauce that makes the deals come together at the end. And people put themselves in a very vulnerable space where they have to open up their finances to you, and to know that you guys are taking care of the client every step in the way. As a real estate agent, something I admire and want to always direct clients to, so they're not being seen as just another deal, another dollar amount, but a family or an individual with a story and a need, and you guys can cater through the entire process. So I want to quickly take that kind of positive messaging into the American Dream TV. So thank you for allowing me the opportunity to learn about that show. But you have gone full speed ahead with this platform, and it's a lot of positive messaging through real estate. What about that platform kind of continues to excite you? Because I love what we're growing here in Phoenix, and you are definitely one of those leading the way. How do you see media as kind of that next step for our industry as we go through the rest of this year and the next year or two, without knowing really what those years are actually going to look like?
Yeah, I think technology, no doubt, is changing so many industries, and our industry is no different. What I love about the American Dream is not only does it have a positive spin to it. I mean, in its essence, it's just not negative news, right? So our job is to bring positivity to the country, one, and then two, to be able to have a digital format to do that with is just so important today. Because we don't have like trillions to spend on this or that. I'm just a person with an amazing team, and we do a really good job. And if I can take that messaging and bring valuable content into the digital media space, it allows me to educate people and for people to find us. So the American Dream has just been the next kind of caveat to our digital platform.
I love it. It is an amazing platform, and I'm just grateful to be able to be a part of a team with you on this platform. Again, creating positive messaging through our industry so the public can be more informed and aware. So before we kind of wrap up and we direct people to you, what I'm hearing in my world every day is obviously low inventories. We talked about, low interest rates that are almost at an all-time low, and that's probably going to continue. But there's also, I think, a lot of misconceptions right now. Like, what are you seeing on your side that you can just kind of help bring some clarity to our audience and give them hope that maybe what they're thinking isn't all maybe necessarily accurate? We're seeing a lot of forbearance conversations right now. What does that mean? We're seeing, you mentioned it earlier, and I talked to a lot of my clients about jumbo financing. That got kind of shut off there for a while, but that's coming back in. So what are some of the major misconceptions you think people are struggling with, or maybe that's holding them back from pursuing either a refinance or a purchase?
Well, I think one of them is down payment. I still think that people think that you have to do 20% down to purchase a home, and that is just not the case. There are plenty of low down payment home loans available today. Even in the midst of all that's going on with this pandemic, they still exist. The second thing is credit. I think people think that they have to have this 740 or higher credit score in order to obtain home financing, and that's not the case. There are a lot of different programs that have different credit score requirements. It doesn't mean that if you have a lower credit score that your terms may not be impacted, but it very, very, very often, people that have a 620, a 640, a 660, 680, there's programs out there that can help people purchase homes. And I think the third thing is we have so many people moving here, right? This is one of the reasons why we have limited inventory. And so those people are going to need to live somewhere. and so, really just making sure that we're educating those that are coming here, having a local real estate expert and a local lender, in my opinion, helps just to guide people. They're new to the city. They're not quite sure how our real estate process works here with our purchase contract and the pre-qualification form and the loan status update and all those types of things. Having a local presence and a local lender, in my experience, has helped our clients not only get their offers accepted, but just create for a really great experience.
Yeah, 100%. I love that answer. And with that, people that have those questions, what are some of the best ways we can get them to reach out to you, contact you, whether it's you or a team member? You are always available. I know that. So anyone that is looking to connect with Kelly and her team, Kelly's always a phone call or a text message away, and she will respond. But what are some of the best ways people can come to you, whether it's your website or social media, so they can be more educated and have access to getting a hold of you?
Yeah, so a couple different ways. One, subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's my name. And so that's just going to give you great, consistent types of content about the home lending process and just valuable information to know. To reach us, you can call or text 480-725-0150. And what's so great about that is when the text comes in, it comes into me and the whole team. So while I may not be able to drop exactly what I'm doing at that moment, my team will schedule a call or they will assist in my absence, just to make sure that we are being as responsive as possible to our community. And then lastly, just checking out my website, which is my name, kellyzitlow.com. There's all kinds of information under the Learn tab there. There are mortgage calculators and flyers and program information and credit score information, etc.
And we'll have all this in the details below, so all that information will be available. As we wrap up here, what is kind of that one message you want to share with people right now, whether it be on a personal side or professional side, to give them some hope as we get through the second half of this year, move on, whether as Phoenix continues to grow and opportunities continue to present themselves?
I think just taking a deep breath and really not buying into the madness of it all, whether it's what's on the news or what we read and hear in social media and everything else, just taking a deep breath and figuring out where you are and where you want to go and surrounding yourself with great people that can help you get there. At the end of the day, business is about people, and life is about people, and that's exciting. So, surround yourself with people that make you feel good, that add a little sunshine to your day or where you're going. And in my experience, that really has meant all the difference in the world.
That's perfect. I appreciate the ability to do business with people like yourself. So Kelly, thank you so much for everything you do for our industry, everything you do for our clients, and what you just give back on a daily basis. Grateful to know you and grateful to have you working alongside me and in this American dream world and all of the above. Just very grateful, and thanks for spending some time with us and sharing a little bit of your story. And hopefully more people that have questions now have an expert they know they can go to and just have their answers questions and know they're in a safe and secure place. So,
well, thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for coming on, and we'll try to do this again soon, because I want to keep people as educated as they can be when it comes to the hiring experience. So thank you, Kelly. Be safe, stay healthy, and I hope to see you soon.
Bye, everybody.
Well, thank you, everybody, for joining me on this episode. It's been a pleasure just sharing conversations with Kelly Zitlow. She's not just a friend, as I mentioned, but she truly is one of the top senior mortgage advisors here, not just in our state, but in our country. She's been in the business for 20 plus years. I think she even said 24 plus years, but a true expert in her space, and she's an educator. And she's someone that's going to take every conversation very seriously and make herself available and her team available to walk you through the process, so that you're in the right hands and are going to be taken care of through a very important decision in your life, and that is the purchase of a home. So I'm grateful to be in the industry I'm in and to have resources like Kelly Zitlow and her team at Cornerstone Home Lending to take care of clients and to make the process not just rewarding, but also exciting. So thank you, everybody, for joining this episode. Take a time to look up Kelly Zitlow, Zitlow Group, Cornerstone Home Lending. Again, senior mortgage advisor here in Scottsdale and tops around the country. So be safe out there, and I look forward to our next episode and continuing these conversations. Take care.